BLUF Gaming here with a quick tutorial on how to hide your base in SCUM, the early access game on Steam. As you probably know, you can't actually build a traditional base in this game. All you can build is a shelter which acts as a respawn point and wooden boxes to store your items in. The wooden boxes cannot be locked, so you have to be sure to hide them somewhere where they won't be easily found. An easy place to hide your shelter and your boxes is near the edge of a forest. Forest edges have lots of bushes, more bushes than the forest interior, and offer a plentiful source of wood so that you can build the materials you need. Of course, the added camouflage of trees on one side of you doesn't hurt either. The shelter is the largest thing you'll be constructing, so you want to make sure you have at least one large bush and preferably multiple large bushes that you can build it in. Right here at the forest edge, I have two large bushes side by side with an additional small bush facing the field that will help hide us from the sight of anyone out this direction. To build a shelter you need 10 long sticks, 6 small sticks, and 1 or 2 pieces of rope. I shredded the clothes from a couple of puppets that I killed so that I could make several improvised ropes, which are the ones I'll be using. If you're using improvised or tree bark ropes, you need 2 ropes per shelter and per box that you build. Since you can't carry all of the materials necessary to build a shelter or a box in your hands at once, you need to make sure that you go ahead and put them all in roughly the area that you're going to be building. As you can see, I have all 16 of my sticks right here in the bushes. I have all the rope in my backpack, so I should be able to build the shelter anywhere in this general area. Since I expect there to be more traffic on the road and out in the field in the direction I'm facing, I'm going to have the open side of the shelter facing the direction I am right now and towards the woods, where I expect there to be more cover and less traffic. Whenever you build a box or a shelter, you can't actually move them or directly choose where they're going to be placed. You have to indirectly choose where it will be placed based off of the position of your body when you begin to craft. The shelter's open side will be facing you once you craft it. It will also be to your right about 60 degrees or at about 2 o'clock facing. So keeping that in mind, we're going to have the low end facing that direction and the open end facing me now. That means I need to face this direction since it will be on my right and facing me. I want to embed it pretty deep in the bush, so I'll walk like this, and now I should be good to craft. Okay, our shelter is done and fairly hard to see from this end. Let's take a look from the other side. If we didn't know it was there already, we'd run right past it. And from the woods, again, it's barely noticeable. Someone would have to get rather lucky or follow you home if they want. You want to follow all the same principles when hiding a wooden box. The only difference is that the wooden box, while it places in the same area, that is about 60 degrees or at 2 o'clock from where you're facing, it will be the small end of the wooden box that is actually facing you. Since wooden boxes are smaller, they're a bit easier to hide, and I recommend spreading your boxes around, only building 1 or 2 together to make it easier not only to sort them, but to hide them. Again, I'll embed myself well into the bush, and you may have noticed I already have the planks at my feet. While you can see that the box is in there, it's not immediately obvious. If someone were just running by, or especially if they were just running across the field, there'd be little to no chance that they would spot it. The fastest way to get your base found is to have lots of boxes out on open ground, so make sure you don't do that. Other telling features that can give your base away are an excess of logs lying about that you haven't used or cut into planks, and also things like campfires or fire rings. The good news is that logs and generally anything you leave lying about on the ground will not persist too long. They will eventually despawn. The fire rings and campfires can be hidden in the same way that I've hidden the shelter and the wooden box. So that's your bottom line up front. If you'd like to see me do this from scratch, perhaps if you're a new player, just stick around for the rest of the details. Thanks for sticking around. Just in case you're new to SCUM, I'm starting with a brand new fresh character that we can use to do the same thing we saw in the first portion, but this time I'll explain every step along the way. I'm going to name this guy Heidi McHiderpants. And you see we've maxed out his survival skill. Actually, you don't need to max it out to build wooden boxes and shelters, but I decided why the heck not. Let's go ahead and get started. So the very first thing you need to do when you start a new character, aside from checking to see if there are any puppets nearby, is to make a stone knife. Look at the ground, search for rocks, and once you find two of the same type of rock, you should be able to make your knife. Here we have two small stones, so we can go to crafting, make the stone knife, and it's going to craft it on the ground, so make sure you pick it up. The very first thing I like to do after getting the knife is to get myself some weapons. Bushes are a great source of long sticks that you can get with a knife, so I'm going to go out to a field and look to see if I can find any bushes nearby that we can chop down. There's a puppet over there, so we need to be careful, but it's good that he's here as it gives us a nice source of clothing to start out with. Looks like we found one wooden stick that was long enough. You need to find a long wooden stick if you want to make an improvised spear. The short sticks aren't a big help to us right now. At least not in the case of defense. Let me go ahead and get a second spear, and then we can get started on taking this puppet out. Looks like we have a couple more over there. So it seems to be a bit of a hot spot considering we're out in the forest. Starting out like this, you can actually carry up to 3 spears, one in each holster on your back and then another one in your hand. Now these are also small sticks, so we can't make spears out of those, but rather than risk aggroing those guys, let me go ahead and get rid of him so we can start on these other bushes. I found that whenever you're throwing a spear, it can be hard to see your target if you're in third-person mode, so I just hit enter and go to first-person mode only whenever I'm throwing objects. Unfortunately, this guy's walking, which makes him a bit harder to hit, but we're going to wait for him to pause like this and see if we can get a headshot. Okay, he didn't get back up, so let's go loot. Because we're so short on storage space, we want to start out by putting the clothes that could potentially have storage space on our bodies first. However, if you see duplication, that's a chance for us to cut the clothes into rags that we can use for our own purposes. Now the clothes you start out wearing are clean, so you get clean rags. The clean rags to be used as bandages, so we want to save those. However, we are interested in finding some dirty rags that we can cut into strips because we'll be needing a lot of rope. Now that we have him out of the way, let's cut up one other bush. That way we can have 3 spears and try to take out those other puppets and get started on making our shelter. This is a rather large bush, so it should provide us with 2 long sticks, but we only can use 1 right now. Your stone knife will wear out, so once it finally does break, just look for more rocks and you'll have another one ready to go in no time. The good thing about spears, which makes them in some ways better than guns, is that they don't make any noise from their launch position. Guns do. That means that when you throw a spear, so long as you aren't seen, it's not going to attract the puppets to your way. A gun, on the other hand, will make the loud popping sound, which will bring zombies coming towards you. I have one spear remaining, so I'm going to give it a shot. Maybe we can get lucky. Perfect. Okay, all the clothes that I had no need to wear, I cut into rags. Now I'll take the extra step of cutting the rags into strips. Now that I have plenty of strips, I go to crafting and start making improvised rope. Next up, we're going to want to build an axe that we can use to cut down trees. Without being able to cut down trees, we can't get the planks needed to make the wooden box. So, to make the small stone axe, we need one piece of rope, one long stick, and one small stone axe head. We can make the small stone axe head out of 2 rocks, and we already know where to get long sticks. Looks like I missed a pair of pants, so maybe I can get one more rope out of this. It looks like our inventory is getting rather full, but we're not going very far, so we can leave some of this on the ground. We need to go get a long stick so we can make our axe. Okay, long stick in hand and all the other ingredients nearby, we can finally make the stone axe. You'll need to be careful because if you're trying to carry 3 spears and a stone axe, every time you equip the stone axe, you're going to find that you're dropping the spear on the ground. I'm just going to choose to only use 2 spears from now on. We're going to need 2 ropes to make a box and another 2 ropes to make the shelter. I only have 3 right now, and normally I would save my clean rags for bandages. However, for the sake of getting this video done before you get bored of watching me, I'm going to go ahead, cut up a couple of them so we can get our 4th rope. Okay, now we have the tools needed and all the rope necessary to make our first box and shelter so that we can have ourselves what we can call a base here in SCUM. First off, I need to cut down a tree. Trees are great because they provide you with logs that can be cut into planks and both large and small sticks. We need 10 large sticks and 6 small sticks for the shelter, and we also need 8 planks for the box. You usually get at least 5 long sticks per tree that you cut down, so we should only have to cut down 2. Because long sticks don't fit well into your inventory, you have to carry them in your hand. To help you carry more, you can craft them into a bundle of wooden sticks. Bundles can hold up to 5 sticks and up to 3 planks. We see here that after making the bundle, we still have 3 more highlighted. We could make a bundle of 3. However, that's not quite enough for our needs, so we're going to have to cut down another tree. Okay, we have a second bundle of long sticks, which I will put over here near the first bundle of long sticks. And also, just so that it's easier when we come back here, let's go ahead and make a bundle of small sticks as well. Now we have everything we need to make the shelter. Let's make sure we have everything we need for the box as well. With your axe in hand, you can cut up these large logs into planks. A log typically gives you 3 planks and we need 8 for a box, so make sure to cut up 3 logs. Once we have the logs cut up, go ahead and make those into bundles as well. We'll need 3 bundles so that we can move the 8 necessary to build our box. Great, now we have all the materials needed to build our small base right here in the same spot or in our backpack. The next step is to find some bushes near the edge of a forest. Okay, I think I found my spot. It's not too far from where we just cut up the logs, and as you can see, we have several bushes all grouped together in one place. The forests in this area aren't too dense, but I don't want to run too far from where I just crafted all those materials. Okay, we have everything moved into these bushes, and just in case you position yourself and you aren't able to get the craft button to come up right where you want it to be, you may have to move the items that you've dropped some. Whenever you have an item in your hand, you can just click and drag onto the ground and it shows you where you'll drop it. Once you have them all placed in the area where you want, remember that you can build the shelter and it will be to your right, facing you. There it is. Now to make our box. Whenever you have a bundle of sticks or planks, all you have to do is right click on it, either in your hand or on the ground, and click Uncraft. That will revert it back into its original planks or sticks. There we go. A nice hidden wooden box. If you're new to SCUM, you may wonder how you're going to interact with the box. Well, at the moment, the only way to interact with boxes is through the inventory screen right here. When you see the arrow like this at the bottom right corner of any item, whether it be a box or a piece of clothing, that means you can click on that to show what its contents are. If you want to put something in the box, just drag directly to it, and then you can see its contents indented below. Now we have a nice hidden base of operations with unlimited drinking water. If you're new to SCUM, you may be thinking there doesn't appear to be a lot of food in the area. However, keep in mind, it's perfectly fine to eat puppets that you've killed. And we have 3 corpses atop that hill which we could eat, which will give us all the energy we need. Because I don't know about you, but that energy icon at 0 in the bottom left sure is bothering me. And that's totally because I have not been eating and I'm at negative 800 kcal. A few skewers with meat, however, cooked over the campfire will quickly remedy that. I hope this tutorial has been helpful for you, or at least interesting. I know I've covered a lot of this previously in a crafting tutorial, however I've seen a lot of complaints online from people who are upset that they can't move their shelters and wooden boxes. And while that is true, with some planning ahead of time, you can make sure that your base remains hidden. Hopefully before too long, the devs will implement fortifications of existing buildings, and then we can actually move indoors. Feel free to like, subscribe, or comment and tell me what you thought of the video or what you think I should do in future videos. Of course, you can dislike as well. However, if you do that, I'm going to convince everybody that push to talk is out and everybody should just have an open mic at all times. Thanks for watching BLUF Gaming, and I hope to see you next time.